Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So I'm back in Dinky Doo. I've travelled all the way down to mid Wales and I've come to meet a guy that many of you on this channel will be very familiar with, and that's Simon Eardley. So as I'm sure many of you will know, and many of you will follow Simon Eardley's YouTube channel, and if you don't, where have you been? He's definitely worth having a look at. So Simon's got his homestead now in Wales, and I travelled down here last night because he's invited me down to have a look at his wildlife hide. What an incredible place this is. Now, I arrived in the dead of night last night. It was pitch black. I've come in Dinky Doo and I've been able to sleep in Dinky Doo on his driveway. And I'm going to go into his hide today and I'm going to have a look at what's on offer here down in mid Wales. And then hopefully later on tonight, we might even get a chance to have a look at the tawny owls. So today in the main hide we've got jays, we've got woodpeckers, we've got all manner of woodland birds. There's a chance that buzzards come down. He's got a buzzard feeding station and you know, he gets buzzards down here quite regularly. So I'm really quite excited. And more than anything, I'm looking forward to spending the day with Simon. It should be a fantastic day. He's got a lens that I'm really kind of jealous and curious to have a look at. He's got the 600 f4 with a built-in teleconverter, the big brother to the 400 2.8 lens that I've got. So if that interests you, and that's something that you're wanting to have a look at, come along for the journey and see what I see. So we're in the hide. I'm not on my own though. I've got Simon just to my right. I don't know whether you can see him. Maybe just about there. And we're sat listening to the cacophony of birdsong, and it's absolutely incredible. There's all manner of birdsong going on. We can hear ravens in the distance. There's been a tawny owl calling. We've had buzzards. We've had wrens chasing one another at the front of us here. We've had jays already coming in, but the light at the moment is just not there. I don't think we're far off though. This has been the first opportunity I've had to vlog, because we arrived in absolute pitch black darkness. I can hear the buzzard calling, so I'm going to keep my voice right down. Exciting times. So we've been in the hide now for probably about an hour, and the light's just starting to get good. There's patches of blue up in the sky, which is fantastic, and it's really quite hard to explain just how many and the variety of birds that we've got in front of us. I've never seen so many jays. At times we've had 5 or 6 jays in front of us all at the same time feeding. And Simon's given me some really, really good advice, really, and it's something that probably I've not considered before when I've been to a hide. And that's, he said, for the first hour, don't take a photograph, don't touch your camera, just watch. And actually by doing that, by spending the last hour just watching and looking at the way the birds behave in front of us, you're starting to pick up the patterns and the habits that those birds are taking. There are certain pathways that the jays are always taking to certain perches. And actually, I could have been shooting photographs in the last hour, but the ISO would have been really high, and most of them images would have been images that I'd have probably deleted when I got home. And actually now what I've got is a wealth of knowledge of the birds in front of me, so that when the light gets better and I can increase that shutter speed, I've got some real good opportunities to try and get some birds in flight. So it's a really, really good piece of information, a really good piece of advice. The second thing is, the buzzards arrived. So he came across, we could hear him calling for quite some time, and he came across, and we think he's landed in the tree to the left of us. So again, we need to be really, really quiet, very still, to increase the opportunity, increase the chances of that buzzard coming down. But it's hard to sit on your hands when you've got jays flying around all in front of you, woodpeckers jumping up and down in front of you. It really is difficult. Everything in me wants to grab the camera and start taking photographs. So the light's getting better and better as the morning progresses. And just with all, like all hides, you have lulls in activity. I think the lull was about 30 seconds before it just came alive again. And we've got woodpeckers and jays all over the place now, jumping from perch to perch. And what's really nice to see is that the jays are interacting with one another, so they're quite competitive. So they're landing on a perch, and then another jay will fly in, and they'll interact with it, and they're the moments that I'm trying to capture. Just keep an eye, and it's where it's really important that if you put an eye to the viewfinder, you keep your other eye open and just try and keep an eye on what's going on. So you're looking for those birds coming in that moment of interaction, and that's when you want to be pressing the shutter. It's been non-stop though. Simon, are we allowed to talk about the lens that you're using, or is it top secret?
No, it's not. Nothing top secret about it. It's just a shame it's not mine.
How are you finding it?
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. It's going to be a bit of a wrench when it goes back in the box, I must say.
I think you've got time yet to work on the wife, haven't you?
No, it's not happening, mate. Not happening. That would be a serious war of attrition. No, an amazing piece of glass. This, the fact that it's got the, the teleconverter built in is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, with the 400, don't you?
Yeah.
How good it is. It's like having 3 lenses in one.
That's right.
The fact that you can just drop the teleconverter and then go into crop mode as well.
Yeah. So when you engage the teleconverter, is it 840?
Yeah, so it's 600 and then 240 on top of that, so that's 840.
Yeah.
And then going to crop mode, you've got another 420, so 1260 mil.
Yeah, you're not short there, are you?
No, no, phenomenal amount of reach. And that's what this lens is all about, it's all about the reach.
Yeah.
600 mils, it's a handy thing to have, especially with the light gathering capability of the F4 as well.
Yeah.
But it comes at a price.
There's been a shot I've been after for some time now. I've managed to photograph jays in the past, and I've had some nice shots with jays, particularly jays in flight. But there's one shot I've been missing with the jay, and that's as it lifts its crest up on its head. They don't do it very often, but when they do, they look absolutely exquisite. Now, Simon got one on a video just recently, and his was in the snow. An even better shot. But when I saw it, I thought, ooh, I hope that we get the opportunity for that when I come down. Well, it's just happened. It landed on the post in front of it, and another jay came in. And I think that little bit of a threat made him posture, and the crest came up. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Sam and I have been sat here entertained by the jays, and they've been non-stop, the jays interacting with one another. That and woodpeckers. There's been at times 4 or 5 woodpeckers. We've had them on the same post. It's been unbelievable. And to the right of Simon, to the right of the hide, there is a small bird feeding station, and it's constant flurry of tits and chaffinches and goldfinches, a whole plethora of different small birds. And on 3 occasions they've dispersed really rapidly. And then alarm call. Well, we've just found out why. An absolutely stunning male sparrowhawk has just landed no more than 2.5-3 meters from the end of our lens. It was that close. I think, Simon, you'd have probably struggled with the 600, wouldn't you? I was at 400 and it filled the frame. Absolutely stunning. Those beautiful golden eyes, that crimson chest, and that bluey, steely blue grey back. Very, very different from the female sparrowhawk. An absolutely perfect predator. Wow, incredible. If I've got anything decent, I'll pop it up on the screen now for you to see. So we've had a little comfort break, an absolutely stunning bacon and egg sandwich, and now we're going back for the second half of the day, and hopefully we might get to see, we'll definitely see some more jays. I've just seen them flitting across, maybe the sparrowhawk, and who knows, maybe even the buzzards might come down. Come along for the journey and see what I see. One of the things that Simon's really thought out of about this hide is, so we've got 3 windows in front of us, all with this one-way scrim netting, which is absolutely fantastic. The male sparrowhawk, when it landed before, was, if with normal scrim netting, that sparrowhawk would have seen us in it, it'd have took flight, we wouldn't have got the shots of it. but with the scrim netting it didn't at all. And then what he's also done is across the bottom we've got 3 low level ports. So I'm going to use the low level one, and I've popped my camera on a couple of bean bags so it's nicely supported, and then I've got an opportunity to photograph from a different angle, a different viewpoint for the perches that are in front of me. So whilst I might have already got some shots of the image of the birds on these perches, this different viewpoint will create a very different image. So we'll just wait and see what turns up. You may have noticed a very large grin appear across my face, and that's because I'm now using the 600 f4 with the built-in teleconverter. Jen, this could be a dangerous experiment. Well, I'm sold on the 600. What an incredible lens that is. More than anything, it's the reach that it gives you. You're at 600mm as f4 as a standard lens. Engage the teleconverter and you're at 840. Chuck it into crop mode. You've got incredible reach, absolutely incredible reach. I think for a hide lens, it's probably a bit on the long side, but for going to places like Leighton Moss and Oldmoor, where I've been photographing bearded tits, and the 400 has left me feeling a little bit short. Even with a 2x teleconverter at times can feel a little bit short, whereas that would just be absolutely fantastic. I don't think I could afford to own them both though, that's the only problem. So which one would I opt for? The 400 or the 600? What would you go with? Answers in the comments below. Well, we've had a buzzard sat outside the hide now for, I reckon, best part of an hour and a half, if not longer. Simon and I have maintained absolute quality hide etiquette. We've not moved our cameras, so there's been no movement observed outside of the hide whatsoever. We've kept noise down to an absolute minimum. And the buzzard just sits and watches. And he sits and watches, and he sits and watches, constantly teasing us that he might come down. We're in the kind of last parts of daylight now. We've probably got, I don't know, perhaps half an hour worth of daylight, do you think? Yeah. Last half hour. So fingers crossed it might drop down for that last half hour. But don't go anywhere just yet, because I'm staying behind after it's gone dark, and hopefully I'll bring you a little surprise. So stay right through to the end of the video to see it. Had a short break and we're back again, and we're now setting up for our evening spectating sport. What we're hoping is that Simon has got a couple of tawny owls that have been coming in quite regularly. So Simon's just setting up for them now. We've got some continuous lighting. There are 2 continuous lights. Is it
Rotor lights.
rotor lights? So it's 2 rotor lights, continuous lights, and they're there to support you in your focusing. Otherwise, you'd struggle to focus. And then at the side of those, he's got 2 flashes. The flash units are the Camtraptions flash units, and they'll be attached to my camera via a remote trigger. And then the aim will be, if I just talk you through this here, so this perch here will hopefully be where our tawny owls will land. Simon's got some absolutely stunning footage of tawny owls on this perch. He's even got them with snow-covered perch, which is just fantastic, isn't it? So hopefully the tawnies are going to come down on that perch, and then just behind me here, we can see the hide, where I'm hopefully going to be able to bring you a couple of photographs of them. And if they stick around, hopefully a little bit of video as well. Talking's going to be to a minimal in the hide, because we need to be nice and quiet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be the surprise at the end of the day. So come along for the journey and see what we see. You can see me now with the lights are on. I'm going to turn it around. You'll probably just see just how bright those lights are. Yeah, for continuous lights, they're really, really bright. And Simon powers them with an EcoFlow power bank. It's actually the same EcoFlow power bank that I have in my motorhome in Dinky Doo, and they're a fantastic piece of kit. And he just covers that up because it's just started to drizzle. We've had dry conditions all day, and then just at the moment where we're going to get the tawnies, it started to drizzle. So I hope that doesn't put them off. But you can see from the lighting now, the perch is lit up perfectly, and it means that anything that's landing on that perch, you've got no problem in focusing it from the hide in the background. When I'm in the hide, I'll probably have it on low light mode, but we'll be in complete darkness in that hide. So just everything's in the final stages of getting ready. Flashes are being fired, just checking them out and tracking them. Fingers crossed we'll get the tawnies in. So you can probably just about make out my face. As I said before, we're in complete darkness, but the DJI Pocket does a fantastic job in low light mode of just getting any available light into that sensor. So we're all set up now. We've done a couple of test shots just to make sure that the exposure is right, making sure that that balance between shutter speed, aperture and ISO complements the flash as they're going off, and we're doing that against the perch. Now, one of the things that's always worth noting about that is the colour of the bird that you're photographing, because when Pops and I did the barn owl hide and we're using continuous lighting, we thought we'd nailed the exposure, and then when the barn owl came in, our exposure was way off, because what we hadn't accounted for is how reflective the barn owl was of the light. Now the torn owl, obviously, with it being that brown coloration, is very similar in coloration to the perch, so we'd probably not be in a position where we're having to correct that exposure. But one of the things that I would always recommend that you do, particularly when you're using flashes, is use your ISO to adjust your exposure rather than messing about with shutter speeds or aperture. Get those set, leave those in place, and then adjust your ISO to correct your exposure. Unfortunately, the tawny owls didn't turn up, so I've decided to share with you some of the fantastic footage that Simon's captured and some of the photographs that he's also taken. Enjoy. Well, what an absolutely incredible day it has been. A fantastic day from start to finish. We've had some incredible encounters with some incredible birds. The jays have been the absolute highlight, non-stop all the way through. And then that beautiful male sparrowhawk that came in was just first class. So Simon, if people want to come and experience it for themselves, what do they need to do?
So if you want to come down to the hide, just log on. It's www.simoneardleyphoto.wordpress.com, and we've got a website there and you can book online.
I'll pop a link at the bottom. There'll also be a link in the description of this video, so definitely check that out. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you've not yet subscribed, come on, I've a long way to catch up with Eardley, so give us a subscribe. You know it makes sense.
Get on board.
If you've enjoyed this video and you want to show that little bit of extra support, I've got a buy me a coffee. Link will be at the bottom and in the description. A massive thank you to all those people who purchased me a coffee. And from the wonderful Mid Wales, and until next time, ta-ra!
Ta-da.